like to share with us from the time you were made full professor up to now, maybe the flagship projects you are working on? And I know apart from what you do at work, I know that you are also a farmer. Perhaps you want to share with us how that happened to be a farmer here in South Africa. And also, I know that apart from physically not being in the southeastern lowveld of Zimbabwe, you still keep your presence and you still have an impact, and you are still motivating the young and upcoming generation in terms of not being people who just do basic education but furthering into tertiary education. I know you are very active in motivating people to get into scholarships. You're motivating people who come from poor social backgrounds to still progress with their education. Perhaps you want to share a bit of light into all those hectic but very philanthropic work you do.
Yeah, let me begin by perhaps sharing with you a few projects that I do or I have been involved with since becoming full professor, particularly coming from the University of South Africa. The University of South Africa signed a memorandum of understanding with the Africa Union Commission back in 2013. Otherwise, for operationalization from 2014. That was the time when Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was chair of the AU.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was signatory to that MOU. So when we did that, I was fortunate to be invited to join a team of academics that would then be responsible for the implementation of that particular MOU.
Okay.
Yeah. So to do that, we took the idea to several African countries where we were mobilizing scholars of Africa to support the Africa Union Commission in the sense of capacity building.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went to countries such as Zimbabwe, Malawi, in East Africa, including Kenya, Ethiopia, to the north as far as Egypt and Morocco, and a few other countries in between. Yeah. So our point was that the Africa Union Agenda 2063 is a very big strategic document for Africa. Very important also.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a document that puts together Africa's aspirations, and it's called Africa Union Agenda 2063 because it's a blueprint that covers a period of 50 years.
Oh.
50 years commencing 2013, and if you add 50 years to 2063, it goes to 2063. So yeah. Africa is saying in the next 50 years, beginning 2013, these are the things that we want to achieve.
Okay. Do you want to summarize for our viewers what those major achievements that we aspire to have as Africa are under the Agenda 2063?
Well, a few of them include that the construction of the Great Inga Dam, which would then provide water to almost most of Africa.
Okay.
In addition to that, also help to generate hydroelectricity you know, to complement the capacity that is there already.
We started work on the Great Inca Dam.
Yes, work has started.
Okay,
Yes,
excellent.
it's slow, but then the Agenda 2063 is a 50-year project. So what the AU did was to break it down into 10-year periods.
Okay.
So the first 10-year period was to run from 2013 to 2023.
Yes.
And within those 10 years, 10 flagship projects were identified, including the Great Inca Dam, and then the other one was silencing the guns, which means that Africa should be gotten rid of wars, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know. Also.
And how much of that have we succeeded in implementing of the silencing of the guns?
Let me say that unfortunately, when I did my inaugural lecture as a full professor, I did it on a risk assessment of the first 10-year implementation plan of the Agenda 2063.
Yes.
So when I evaluated it, I found that only one project had been accomplished, which is the establishment of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which was one of the 10 projects. Okay. The rest had not been achieved. So in other words, in the first 10-year implementation period, only 10% of the projects had been achieved. Yeah.
Which is a little bit disappointing.
It's very disappointing, let me say.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah, but we know there are many factors that lead to that. I think that's a subject for discussion on another day.
Yes.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is there is a plan.
Yes.
And Africa is working around that plan to see how it can be achieved, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the one project that I worked with the University of Africa, and it goes on to this day.
Yes.
The other projects that I do with the University of South Africa is through what we call engaged scholarship at the university and perhaps across universities in South Africa.
Yeah.
Is that we reach out to communities, and these communities, are communities that are starved of information, starved of education. And most of them are those that are previously disadvantaged. And when I say previously disadvantaged, I mean that in the previous apartheid regime, they were segregated, and so only the white communities were privileged, and so everything else was almost always against the blacks. So we go to the townships. I facilitate workshops on budgeting in uncertain times, influenced by the fact that I lived in a country which was characterized by high levels of uncertainty in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And budgeting became a very difficult phenomenon, particularly given the turbulence of the economic environment.
Certainly.
Yeah. So, in addition to that, I also facilitate workshops on writing business proposals, or business plans, because we say in the present economies, and particularly in township economies, people need to start businesses because the levels of unemployment in Africa are unprecedented, So we also know that corporate entities in themselves are struggling to generate new employment. So what we then advocate for is for creation of new businesses that will then create new employment,
Yes.
Yeah. So to do that, we teach communities how to write a bankable business proposal. In other words, we say somebody must be able to write a business plan or proposal that they can take to a bank to solicit for funding.
Yes.
In order to capitalize their business,
I've got a few questions around that concept. The first one, Prof, is that like trying to formalize the informal sector?
Yes. We need to formalize because apparently we know that most of the, now I speak from a banking perspective, you know,
Yes.
you know that capital is very important for business initiation and growth.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and we also know that most of the money in the economy resides or is with the formal financial institutions,
Yes.
acknowledging the fact that there are also informal financial institutions.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter and the reality is that the bigger money is in the formal institutions.
Yes.
And so, in order to tap into the bigger pool of funds lying with the formal institutions, we have to ensure that our people are able to document their operations and their ideas in a manner that formal institutions can get incentivized or attracted to doing business with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like making the those smaller business a little bit more to qualify on the criteria of
Precisely.
the KYC criteria for banks.
It begins with that, because if the bank does not know you, then I think it's logical, even if it's at a social level. If you and I don't know each other,
Yes.
I cannot give you money or vice versa,
Yes.
unless I'm convinced that you are good risk. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
You know,
I can
that you are
be
good.
trustworthy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I've got a good plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the small businesses need to put themselves forward as people that know what their projects entail and know what the future of their projects is.
Okay, and that as much as being a government initiative, does the government have any other direct assistance that they give to upcoming businesses, to entrepreneurs? For example, I still remember in England, the government would make the first 5 years exempted from certain types of taxation. I still remember business managing to get certain types of grants so that they can establish and manage to overcome some of that initial capital requirement. Is the government in South Africa or in Southern Africa, are they doing anything similar, like direct empowerment to smaller businesses?
Yeah, in South Africa there are a couple of financing programs available to small enterprises.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that in my view, they are not adequately publicized.
This is your opportunity,
Yeah.
Prof,
Yeah.
maybe to
Yeah.
make our viewers, those who want to become entrepreneurs and perhaps coming across the financial hurdle, maybe you can let them know. Do you have any at mind now that you can mention?
Let's say that first, I think, as a small enterprise, it will be advisable to reach out to the Ministry or Department of Small Business Enterprises for options.
Okay.
But of course, there are institutions or entities such as the Small Enterprise Development Agency, the National Economic Fund, and for the youth, the National Youth Development Agency, and some such similar entities that are there to serve the financial needs of small enterprises. So, of course, these programs are not static. A lot of changes do take place over time.
Okay.
But and this is the reason why I say that it's important for one to consider a visit to the offices of the Department of Small Enterprises, because then you can be led to a whole host of avenues,
Yeah.
where one can get funding. And
Okay.
funding may come, sometimes it comes in the form of grants, sometimes it comes in the form of loans, sometimes you find hybrid kind of financing options,
Okay.
which combines grant and loan. And also at concessionary interest rates, which is the best part of the funding models.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So please take note to our viewers who are inspiring entrepreneurs. There are all these opportunities for you to pursue.
So I would say that again lately we have been involved with projects in the Eastern Cape region on aquaculture.
Wow.
And also aquaculture and agriculture,
Okay.
but at the lower end of the conundrum. So we're looking at small enterprises in these subsectors.
Okay.
So because we from the aquaculture perspective, we are trying to fit into the marine side of the blue economy,
Right.
and so we teach the youth in the Eastern Cape on all concepts or all aspects of running an aquaculture enterprise, and this we are doing with in partnership or in collaboration with some entity called Yakani Cooperative Fisheries,
Okay.
and also in collaboration with Walter Sisulu University, who have a specialization in their faculties on aquaculture. So we have since been to Mthatha, which is one of the big cities in the Cape, the Eastern Cape, and
Okay.
also Port St. John's. And again, we are doing this alongside the municipality of Port St. John's, which also participated in one or two of our workshops in PSJ. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Very exciting works you are embarking on.
Yes. Now, coming to my involvement in farming, growing up as a young person that was involved in subsistence farming at family level,
Yes.
I later on got interested in farming after you'd be interested to know that my research focus area is mainly on agricultural finance, and
Wow.
stemming from the fact that while I was still working for Barclays Bank, I realized that there was more financial attention being given to the non-agricultural sectors, of the
Yeah.
economy. That is your manufacturing, your construction, mining, and all sorts. But the contribution of the agricultural sector to the aggregate portfolios of banks was a minuscule percentage, and
Okay.
yet we say that our economies are agro-based,
Yes.
and agriculture is the backbone of the economy.
Yeah.
And if it is, how is it possible that it is not well supported, financially? So that's how I ended up getting involved in research that seeks to, seek answers, as in determining the most appropriate financing models for the agricultural sector, and in particular, the smallholder financial service, the smallholder agricultural sector, because that is the most affected because of the lack of collateral, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Certainly.
yeah,
Certainly.
yeah. So, out of interest developing from all the scholarly work that I've done, I decided, let me get myself a piece of land and experience the realities of farming, because it's one thing writing about agriculture or talking about agriculture,
Yeah.
and it's another
To be
planting,
involved.
planting seeds and seedlings,
Yeah.
and see them grow see them die, see
Yeah.
them wilt, you know, see the output,
Yes.
you know, and see, you know, the losses, you know. So,
And the gains.
yeah, so in my project I do horticulture. So now I've got about 5 or 6 lines of commodities that I am interested in, which are cabbage, green pepper, tomato, spinach, okra, zunga, mustard spinach or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how did you come to choose these and why?
I chose some of them because of their low cost nature, you know, low cost of production, and as an entry level farmer with
Yeah.
low capitalization, it made sense for me to go for those that I could easily finance, and
Okay.
also to get the experience of being a farmer, you know.
Yeah.
And so those you know.
And how has that worked out?
Initially, it worked out until the market got flooded by farmers of the same commodities that I started with.
Okay.
Apparently, the appetite for farming increased, it ballooned to a level where the supply of these commodities tended to outweigh the demand for it. So the prices got
And what's
depressed.
the chronological frame? How long are we talking about? When did you start farming? When did you start seeing the flooding of the market for the same products you were also farming?
I started farming in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, we went on well into 2023. I think 2024 mid-year. Beyond that point, we started seeing an enormous jump in the deliveries of commodities such as spinach, mustard, you know,
Yeah.
at the markets, because one of the biggest challenges in farming is identifying markets.
The market,
you know.
yeah. And which ones have been your markets so far?
When I went
Where do you
into
sell?
when I went into farming, I decided to stick to one market, which was the producer market.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to desist from being a producer and a retailer.
Okay.
Yeah, so then it worked because I didn't have to scrounge around for retail buyers.
Okay.
You know, the markets were performing well because we took our produce to the local Swane fresh produce market, Johannesburg fresh produce market, and
Okay.
also one as far afield as Vernachen, I think about 100 kilometers outside Johannesburg.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we realized that the markets were now beginning to fill up fast, it's when we decided to start diversifying our markets from just being producers to the retail market.
And is that
Yeah.
working well?
It is working well. It always does when you diversify, because then you moderate your risk. So
Okay.
yeah, it does. But we still have to do a lot more work to make our mark on the retail market, especially.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm sure what Prof is sharing is going to benefit some of you who have embarked on a similar journey. Therefore, please take note.
Yeah. So we have also learned, that farming requires one to spend a lot of time on perhaps 2 or 3 things. Marketing is
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and risk management.
Right.
And I think I want to say that these 2 areas are probably the most forgotten aspects of business, yet very fundamental.
Okay,
You know?
so do you want
Yeah.
to summarize what you mean by risk management and marketing when you are farming?
Without being necessarily technical, the
Yes.
question that one must answer is what could go wrong in their business as an agripreneur? You know,
Yeah.
what could go wrong? Basic things like climate risk. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a reality that we live with nowadays.
Yeah.
So the question is, how prepared are you to deal with climate risk, and do you understand what it is and what it entails? You know, so for me, I've been fortunate that the land that I'm working on has got 2 boreholes that I draw water from.
Okay.
And yeah, so that for me has been the risk mitigation, the use of borehole water. We know
to
that
irrigate.
yes, to irrigate, yeah, because we know that the rainfall patterns have changed significantly in
Yes.
the last decade or 2 due
Yeah.
to global warming. Yeah, so reliance on rain-fed agriculture could be catastrophic. Yeah. Then the other thing is obviously liquidity risk, and by this I mean the absence of cash flows
Yes.
in the business. Because before we can talk about the cash required, or before we can talk about the absence of inputs, we need to talk about the money with which
Yeah.
one will buy
By
these
the
inputs,
inputs. Yeah.
the chemicals, the pesticides, the fertilizers, all that are a function of how much cash there is in the bank.
Yes.
Yeah. And one needs to actively manage that liquidity. And this is the reason why I still maintain a small component or percentage of my portfolio of commodities in cash crops.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Okay.
So as to augment my cash flows.
So you are able to pay perhaps for all these inputs and your labor,
And labor, yeah.
while at least you are working on the crop.
High value crops. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that we actually need to emphasize on as we have these conversations. And this is where financial institutions come in, because financial institutions are supposed to be supporting enterprises on liquidity, requirements, including, of course, capital expenditure. For instance, if one needs a tractor,
Yes.
or combine harvesters,
Yes.
it's not very easy for a startup enterprise
To afford such a big expense. Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say that, of course, going forward, we would want to see ourselves acquiring land, freehold land,
yes.
sizable. Of course, it's not necessarily about the big land size that matters, but of course we need technologies that are modern, that can enhance our productivity. For instance, we need the drone technology,
for applying
application of pesticides, fertigation, and all that.
fertilizers.
Yeah. But of course, these are currently not within the reach of most of us as small farmers. And this is where innovative finance would come in, to see how best they can support smallholder farmers. Because one thing for certain is we have a lot of smallholder farmers that holds land sizes of, for argument's sake, 2 hectares, 5 hectares.
Yes.
And if you have got, say, 1,000 of them, each with 5 hectares,
that's 5,000.
that's 5,000 hectares.
Yeah.
You can imagine how much production would come out of 5,000 hectares. And the nation is fed.
Yes.
But we need these technologies, improved seed technology, most recent fertilizers, most recent chemicals to fight pests, to deal with disease management.
Interesting for when you mentioned the improved seed. Is it like the talk we hear when people are talking about animal husbandry and they're talking about genetics, the genetics of the breeds? So it's similar thing with crops as well.
Yeah, it's
so
similar.
that you can have high yielding crops.
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely. Yeah, because when you speak to, for instance, you speak to seedling houses, they'll tell you that the variety that you are brought to place an order for is a very old variety, and its yield has since shown some signs of weakness. So we recommend that you check this particular one.
So we also have to move with the time.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I would say this is where we are with our project, and we look forward to doing more, and we hope that we can grow, in tandem with the demands of the nation, the region, and the continent.
Yes.
Because if you look at the African Union Agenda 2063, it speaks of the Africa that we want.
Yes.
And the eradication of hunger, poverty, starvation are some of the key deliverables that it seeks to put on the table.
Certainly, in addition to removing the guns,
Of course.
stopping the wars.
Yeah.
So, Prof, thank you very much.